Changes to Medicare for 2024. These are important changes that you know, especially if you're new to Medicare. The first change is the Medicare Part A deductible. The Medicare Part A deductible goes up to $1,632. Then you have the Part A Copays, or the Part A responsibility, the part of responsibility that is yours when you're in the hospital. On the first 60 days, if you have just Medicare by itself, you have no financial responsibility for the Part A. So you have, aside from the deductible, the first 60 days, it's a zero copay for you. However, if you stay beyond 60 days in the hospital, your copay for days 61 through 90 is going to be $408 a day, which is, you have no other plan, no Medicare supplement, and no Medicare Advantage. You will have the responsibility to pay those $408 per day. One of the other items that are covered by Medicare Part A is skilled nursing. So if you need to go to a skilled nursing facility or rehab, the first 20 days is going to be zero. You're not going to pay for it. However, days 21 through 100, you will be responsible for $204 a day. And after that, you really are responsible for all the costs after 100 days, unless you have another type of insurance. Now we're going to be covered the changes for Medicare Part B. What is Medicare Part B? Medicare Part B are pretty much your expenses that you have outside of what are hospital expenses, such as doctor visits, surgeries, outpatient surgeries, MRIs, CAT scan, those kind of expenses. And on Medicare B, what has changed for 2024 is the premium. The premium has gone up to $174.70. And that depends upon your adjusted gross income. So the way it works is you have a minimum that everybody pays for Medicare, which is the $174.70. And if your income exceeds a certain amount, and we'll cover that on a different video, then you will pay a higher basic premium for your Medicare, which could be anywhere from the $174.70 all the way up to almost $500. So, but the basic Medicare premium that most people pay is $174.70 for 2024. Then in addition to that, you have an annual deductible of $240. Medicare will pay 80% of your approved expenses. Those are if they are Medicare approved expenses. And then you will be responsible for the balance, or the 20%. Now, that is what you would pay if you would have no other insurance, no Medicare supplement, no Medicare Advantage or anything like that, just straight Medicare. The problem with that is just having straight Medicare is that your 20% expenses, they never stop. There's no stop loss. It's not like you can say, well, after 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 or whatever it is, my expenses will stop. So that 20% that you're responsible for, no matter how big the expenses are, you will continue having to pay that 20% if you don't have any other insurance. So there is no limit to that. So I advise most people, if they have Medicare, to get either a supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan in order to limit your exposure and limit those expenses that Medicare has that you have to personally cover. Medicare Part D changes for 2024. Well, we're starting with the deductible. The deductible for Medicare Part D has changed and is $545 for this year. Now, some plans will have a smaller deductible. Some plans may even have a zero deductible. Normally, the lower the deductible, the higher the cost of the plan. Now, there is no such thing as one plan fits all. Every plan has its own formulary, which is a list of the approved drugs that that insurance company will dispense for that particular plan. That is why it is so important to have an agent review all of your drugs in order to recommend the right plan for you. Now, that's part of the reason why it is so important working with a broker that represents multiple insurance companies and multiple plans, because that can literally save you thousands of dollars. We have clients that we literally have saved them $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in expenses for very expensive drugs. So it is really, really important that you select the right plan for your prescription drugs that you're taking on a regular basis. Now, a lot of people ask me about the cost of Medicare, the cost of Irmaa, which is the income-related monthly adjustment amounts. So basically, the way Irmaa works is if you make an income, a single for 2024 is $103,000 or less, or if you're married, $206,000. So if you're single and you make $103,000 or less, or married and you make $206,000 or less, your regular Medicare pricing is going to be the $174.70, and you will not have any additional adjustments. However, if you make an amount in excess of that, for example, if you make an amount that is greater than $103,000 but less than $129,000 as a single person, or you're making an amount greater than $206,000 but less or equal of $258,000, you will have an adjusted income, Irmaa, which basically it will bump up your cost to your Medicare B to $244.60. Now, the table keeps going. So basically, and I'm not going to go through the entire table, but basically the way it works is the more you make, the more you're going to pay for your Medicare. And basically the maximum that you will pay for Medicare for high earners would be if you make greater or equal to $500,000 individually and greater or equal of $750,000 as a couple, if you're married, then you will pay $594 a month for your Medicare. And there's some brackets there in between. If you have any questions about those brackets, you can look in the Medicare Part B income-related adjustment amounts. It is in the internet, or if you want to call me and ask me, I'll be glad to look at it for you and tell you what they are. Now, for Medicare Part D, which are your drug plans, there is also an Irmaa adjustment. It's different and it's less, it's smaller, but there's also an adjustment. If you're making less than $103,000 as an individual, or less or equal of $206,000 as a married person, then your Irmaa adjustment is going to be zero. However, if you're making more than that, it could be all the way up to $81 a month that they would adjust your cost of your Medicare Part D. For example, even if you would select a Medicare Part D plan that costs you $0, if you have an Irmaa adjustment, depending on what it is, they will charge you that even if you have a zero premium Medicare drug plan. For example, if you're a high earner and you earn, let's say, between $103,000 and $129,000 as an individual, they will add $12.90 to the cost of your drug plan or your Part D plan, even if your drug plan is $0. If you're a high earner and you make greater than $500,000, Even if your Medicare drug plan is $0, they will add an additional $81 to your plan. And you have all the brackets in between. If you need additional information on that, again, I'll be glad to help you with that if you call me. If you have any questions about this video, feel free to call me. I am the Managing General Agent for Medigap today, and you can give us a call and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you have in reference to Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage plans, or drug plans. Have a fantastic day, and we will talk to you again soon.